We left Batemans Bay nice and early till beautiful sunrise to go and help Robbo and Shearer do the course marking. We split up into two groups. Mortson and Pooley did the first early morning section over Shallow Crossing back into Nelligan. We bypassed, went straight out to Nelligan and into the Barlow State Forest. Here's Robbo signalling for me to turn my comms on. We're both sporting the new Nex helmets with built-in comms. They sit nice and flush, great sound system, and really good for communicating on this type of ride. They're also a really good looking helmet, very comfy too. And I think they're the only helmet that I've seen where you can wear your goggles and still fully close your visor down over the top of them and seal it off, which is really good for when you get out on the road sections. Close that wind off, shut out the noise, and on those cold days it keeps you nice and warm too. KTM Rally's a navigation ride where the riders are handed a GPS file to follow, but they do go out and mark all the intersections, turn-offs and breakouts with arrows to help the riders. You'll notice I slowed right down and squared this graded bridge up. They can be surprisingly slippery when they've got a bit of moisture on them, and they've caught me out on a couple of occasions. Here we come into the first breakout for the day, which was a 4 chilly. It was quite a lot of fog when we went up there, so at the moment, goggles off, you've got moisture and overgrown track slapping you in the face everywhere. Very little vision for us early in the morning. Never makes these sections look as steep as what they really are, but it definitely adds some steep pinches to it. After copping a heap of shit in the eyes, I tried to wipe all the moisture off the goggles and run them. Didn't last very long though. The amount of moisture and fog that was in the air, the goggles didn't really give you much clear vision. Now we get into the section where it gets a bit steeper and a bit rockier, and Wyatt got its 4 chilly rating, and I certainly stuffed it up here, bounced off a ledge, into the bush and stacked it.
Bugger.
After the breakout, we ran across some ridge tops past Gallarabri Mountain. The sun was still at a really low angle. It was still pretty early in the morning. The fog had eased off, but yeah, you still got a lot of that low glancing sunlight mixed in with a little bit of the moisture that was still in the air that made it a little bit hard to see at times. So we missed out on some of the beautiful scenery and outlook from high up here, but by the time the main group of riders came through, I reckon the fog was all cleared and they would have taken in the full scenery, which was very spectacular. The best thing about the big fog and heavy dew was that it settled all the dust down, so compared to the previous 2 days we had no dust, which made the riding heaps better.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you want to do your clutch here again?
I'm one of the pre-rides, we had to pull over here to do some running repairs on one of the bikes. It was a good spot though to pull over for an hour or so. This was the next breakout just before Maria. Pretty nice and easy breakout. It was only really a breakout just for time-wise for riders that were finding the days a bit too long. They could bypass this section, which probably added an extra 15-20 minutes onto the ride. It was mostly easy single line and yeah, just a lot of fun. After Maria, we head back out into the Duo National Park and onto a trail called Wamban Creek Fire Trail. It's a lot of fun, a lot of elevation. It doesn't look really steep on a bit of this, but it is a bit steeper than it looks. Nice and smooth though, plenty of traction. It's nice and easy to get up and over, and a lot of fun, a lot of corners, erosion humps, just built for adventure bikes. Here's Robbo putting up one of the KTM orange course markers. I don't know what's going on here though, he might have been trying to confuse them. It's pointing up in the sky. What are you doing, Robbo? Bit of background music from my little brother and the Smoky Mountain Men. They've got some really cool music, look them up. see, all this section was just nice, twisty, lots of undulation, up and down hills. And I think it was well put by Shearer when we pulled up at the end of this section. He just said if you didn't love that section, then you just shouldn't be riding dirt bikes. Just had a nice easy scenic run into central Tilba. We bumped into some friends from Goulburn, Mark and Jenny Price, at Bermagui on the second night, and here we find them again at Tilba. If you haven't been to Central Tilba, I'd put it on the to-do list. It's a great little town. And we stopped at the pub and had an early lunch, and these two blokes found their corner, aptly named. Great way to finish the day's ride off over Walliga Lake on the run into Bermagui. Really picturesque way to end the day. All in all, day 3 was another awesome day's ride. We missed the first section with the shallow crossing, but the KTM official video will have plenty of great footage of that. Already seen some of it, and there's some really cool stuff like Beetle Bailey doing a wheelie all the way across and Birchie wheeling across. Yeah, pretty cool.